So here we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy, what is it, January 11th, 12th. Oh man, January's in full swing. We just were chatting a little bit about the 30-day, everybody who's on that and all your clients. And wow, what a huge group, you guys. Almost 600. I haven't checked. I might even get over that, but I think it's right around 600 people. And it's not too late. You know what, gang, keep talking to folks. Because now even, I think sometimes there's like that big push of like the January 1st or whatever to like get help, and people are like, no, I don't want to. But as they kind of see other people doing it, or as they kind of are like, you know what, I do kind of feel like crap and I want to change this. Keep being there for them. Keep touching. People can jump in to the 30-day at any time because it's just going to keep rolling right on through in February. So don't let the idea of the January 7th date, like, oh, it's over till February. It's absolutely not. People can jump in. The only thing that's different is when you do the cleanse. That's really the only thing that's different. And so because they have us to coach them through it, it won't even be a thing at all. It's literally like a one-day post that they would just shift, later to when they started. So I just want to welcome everybody. Hannah is currently scoping out the site for Sunday and like getting everything laid out. So you guys get your tickets. If you haven't, get some for your guests. Be sure to be there 1 to 4 on Sunday. And it's just huge. These are huge for belief. For people who are like, yeah, but does anybody really do this? And does anybody really ever get the car? And, and so you guys being at this with your guest is absolutely, it's huge. It's huge for people to kind of like see themselves in that. And then just having our larger team there. Hope and Holly will be there. And so kind of casting that, they'll be fresh off of Maui. Who's been seeing those things on Instagram? Who's there next year? Holy smokes. Yes, please. It's been so fun to watch that. And to just kind of envision yourself there and take that, use that for like a vision board, really use the pictures of it. Our brain works in pictures. And so if MVP is something that you have in your sights, which likely if you're on this call at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, CST, it is. So do it. So she's checking that out today. And then Saturday, these are just a couple of reminders. Saturday is Jerry. If you haven't registered yet, do it. It's an amazing training, all day training. And it's going to be action-packed. He's just going to be pumping us up for what this is. He knows our business. He knows our company. And for those of you who are new, especially, this is a great way to get a training, fresh off the bat. So definitely jump into that. And the post is pinned to the top of License Nation. And just you can click on that and it'll take you to the Eventbrite site, and then you can register from there. So I think tickets are $75 right now, which is an absolute steal. And then beyond that, I'm just going to send it off to Sarah because she has been doing and coaching 30 days for a while now. And I think there's a difference. I didn't realize the importance of this. Because I think sometimes we just kind of throw people in the 30-day, or I do, like, okay, here you go, here's the Facebook group. But the client tracker, using that client tracker, how important that is to just really touch base with folks, because it's similar to doing this business, that you start someone new, you wouldn't do that. Just like, okay, here's your ID and here's your, we'll check in 30 days or never, no, we hang with them and we check in with them at certain key points. And so that's absolutely what that client tracker is for. And guys, it's on the source, and I can upload it to the files. I think I'll put it in our files so that we have it handy. But it looks like this.
Please, I'll share it. I can share my screen.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, perfect. All right, so Sarah's going to take it away and talk a little bit about that super handy client tracker.
Okay, let's see if this works. Can you guys see it? See the source?
I can't. Hold on. Let me spotlight you.
Yeah, Sarah. If you actually push share.
There we go. Perfect. Yes. Wow. Nice job.
Okay. So, hey guys, I'm so glad that we had that little discussion before we started because, like you having those experiences, you guys, like, oh, what do I do for night eating? How do I get past this? This is so weird. I can't see anyone. But how do I get past this? What am I doing? That kind of stuff. Is really, really important as you continue in this business, because I will tell you from experience, I've had all experiences with the 30-day. The first time I did it, I was not doing it to lose weight. I was in what I thought was the best shape of my life and like, let's go. So I can share that experience. And now, obviously now, definitely not, was not in the best shape of my life when I started, but this program has helped take off 30 pounds of that. So super great experiences. On the screen here, you see the source. I don't understand sorry, my screen is really weird. So all I did is I searched in 30-day. And so there's all sorts of stuff, you guys, and to get here, for some of you, I know some of you are like totally brand new, just log in. Instead of going to my dashboard, you would just click on the source, shoot for 30-day, and then here's what you're going to see. So all the stuff basically you see in the group, but the 30-day diary and meal tracker is there, but the client tracker. So you'll see two things here. We see the client tracker, which I'll show you in a second, and you also see the client support guide. Both go hand in hand. So the client tracker, I'll just show you, that's kind of what Lisa was just showing you here a second ago. So pop that up, download it, print it, write on it, do everything you need to do here. It's kind of hard to see here, but so write their name, what's their start date, 5 business days before, get their thing order. So you literally can go through, okay, sweet, check that off, 7 days before, add them to the Facebook group. Without a doubt, we're always going to be starting about 7 days before with that prep week, 3 days before, do you have everything you need? 1 day before, checking in, are you feeling prepared? Do you have your photos, your measurements? This is also a really good time too, like Lisa has talked about in the past, if they're local to you and maybe they don't have product, but it's like a day or two out, if you can throw together a little care package with what they'll need for the next day or two, that makes a huge difference. And then get it to them. That's huge. And then it literally goes through, okay, week 1, day 1, here's what you're going to do. Day 3, you're going to, check in and take an ask. So it's your checklist to make sure that you're doing everything, and ultimately is going to, let's say they're like, man, and thank you so much for that support. You can literally say, look, this is what I had. This is what I used. Look at how simple it was for me to be able to check in with you in the chaos of, life is busy and whatnot. You'd be great at this. Would you take a look? So it's really good for that. I'm going to go back to the other sheet that's a little bit more in depth. And then I'll kind of tell you experiences of when I've coached people through it and when I haven't coached people through it. And kind of how that's done. So the client support guide. So this is basically the exact same thing. The other one is just the okay, I'm checking off every day, but this is the money maker right here. So literally, here's your consultant commitment. It starts with you. Go through each one. Am I doing this? Have I printed the tracker? Prepping. Again, it literally goes through. Thank you, Arbonne, for putting everything step by step in front of us. We don't have to think, which is great. So this lines up exactly with that client tracker. Day 1, questions you can ask, because sometimes we don't know. Maybe it's your first time coaching a 30-day and you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing because I'm doing it right along with them. These are the questions that you can ask. And so that just goes through blah, blah, blah. You get the point. Use this, you guys, please, please, please use it. It makes such a difference. So here is my experience when coaching. So my very first 30-day to Healthy Living, I'm going to stop sharing here so I can actually see you guys, that I coached. I put her in the Facebook group and said, you got this. And basically didn't touch base again until day 42. So obviously the program was done, and she's like, I don't know what I was thinking. There was a couple touches in between there. That was probably an over exaggeration, but that's what it felt like. There was a couple touches and she was like, I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, she had not committed to the program, but I had not committed to helping her through it. So that was huge. And fast forward, a couple of years ago, there was a couple of people who jumped in, touch base every once in a while, and then kind of let that go towards the end. And they have not reordered with our team. Now, fast forward to now, I started in August and really committed to following that client tracker, following this document. And we have people who are having so much success and they're finishing all the way through. And obviously, because I'm not necessarily doing it right along with them every month, but I'm here and I have so many experiences with it. Like, hey, like Lisa said, okay, you're feeling tired and it's day 5, there's probably something going on there. So let's figure out, what does your day look like? What does, okay, so they blend up their morning shake, but they shake up their afternoon shake. Are they getting enough calories? And, maybe they're active. So what are their goals with that? So like me right now, I'm training for a marathon. So my calories need to be a little bit different than they were, 3 months ago when I did it. So it's super important, those daily check-ins. You're tired on day 5, let's figure out why, because by day 5, your energy should really start. So it should start coming up, just based on my experience, because I've done it enough times. And so you guys, if it's your first time around, good on you. I'm so proud of you for jumping into it, because all of these little things, what do I do when I need to eat at night? Like, oh, someone post on the Facebook group. People have so many experiences. They're going to say, try the tea with a little bit of fiber at night, so that, you can through those quote unquote food cravings, when really it's more of like, for me, it was more of a habit. Like, I'm a night eater. That's what I was telling myself. So again, hold on through that. Use your experiences. If it's your first or second time, write everything, like remember everything that you're doing that you're like, oh, that's brilliant. And use that as you move forward. It's total game changer, and guaranteed you will have people who want to continue doing it with you, because you did such a good job of like checking in and checking in and checking in. And it was very like easy. It's just easy. Plus, if you're not doing it, you're going to sit in the corner and be like, I need to check in with that person. And I haven't checked in with that person. And now I'm finally going to check in like 20 days in. And what are they going to think? You don't want to put yourself in that position. Okay. Trust me, I've done that as well. So that's it, Lisa. I think that unless there's like questions or anything.
That's awesome, Sarah. No, that's totally, and that's why I know you've done this a lot. And so does everybody, I think the biggest thing was like knowing about the client tracker, and like the purpose of it and how it's different than, just putting someone in the 30-day willy-nilly, excited for them. But then if we're doing it ourselves, we're not really going to know for the first time what to ask them or how to ask or whatever. So having that resource of how to really methodically do it is so great. So thank you. Guys, do you have questions? No? We can just shoot them out later too. If you do, we'll roll through. And if you've got questions as they bubble up, shout them out.
I do have a quick question, if that's all right. It's kind of to the end part, Sarah, that you sort of touched on, like when they get to the end and you're like, hey, would you be willing to take a look? Like, this is all it is, kind of thing. I've had people that are, and they're like really excited, and then they like, and this maybe is too in depth, I don't know, but they go in, then they like, I talk to them. I've had Hannah come and and they then are like, okay, well, I'm gonna think about it, and then they go and do that. Oh, I'm gonna Google MLM, and then they come back and say, oh, there's no point in doing this at all, and so they've like turned it into something it's not, and then I don't know where to go after that. I'm like, well, not that. That's, I know, a loaded question kind of there, but it's happened more than once to me now, so I'm imagining it happens to other people too.
Yeah, I would say, and Sarah, to chime in too, that's a totally, like, that is something that is a response that we get a lot for no matter what, where people are at or what questions we're asking is, the Googling MLM. And I think that's something that, it's just asking questions of them. Like, oh my gosh, okay, what did you hear? What did you find? I think like doing, just engaging, just keeping the conversation open. And I think that's another way of keeping that third party, keeping Hannah or whoever, your upline is, like keeping them involved in that conversation and just keeping the conversation open. Asking questions about if they're like, oh my gosh, there's no point. Oh, tell me more. Like what has you thinking that, and so just keeping them engaged with it instead of trying to like defend, you know what I mean? And then just like the really cool thing too, and this kind of touches on like the next thing I want to talk about is the idea of having so much out there. Like if you have a ton of asks out there and a ton of activity on your calendar, you won't get as as hung up on that one thing that's like, but I was really thinking she would do this because she had great success. If you've got a ton of other things cooking, it won't matter as much. You want to give them the best, service you can, but I'm saying like personally, it'll just be like, oh, that was a learning experience and it won't be as tough to take it. And I'm thinking people would agree with that. It's just kind of that activity. You have, because when you're in huge activity, you're like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot. Like this person who wants to come to the DA and I haven't even said, it's crazy how that could happen. Where if you're not, you're like, okay, are they coming? Are they coming to the DA? My one guest, is she coming? Oh my gosh, I haven't heard in 5 minutes. Is she coming? It can just totally change how you show up and your attitude if you've just got a bunch of stuff going on. But I would say specifically with that one, Krista, just stay curious, stay connected, and keep your sponsor involved in that. And you can, and we all know you can't control the outcome. If it does end up being like nope, it's an MLM and I'm like this, no problem. I know that sometimes timing can be everything. Would you mind if I circle back in a couple of months? Like that's kind of the last ditch. And then if it's a no, great. And if it's sure, there you go. Mark it on your calendar. When am I reaching back out? And then you just take it from there. And so just being kind of methodical about it that way. So something I wanted to talk about too was just, I think January or like this time, I feel like there was a huge, and I think I talked about this last time, a huge push, kind of September, October. And then, we had all the amazing promotions that were out in November, and then December getting people into the 30-day. And guys, this business is so crazy. Like there will be a point for sure where you can kind of like let your foot off the gas a little bit. But if any of you have experienced letting your foot off the gas a little too soon, that can feel really deflating, really hard. And I think for a lot of folks, if you're new, you're at that state where it seems like you're putting a ton of effort in and you're not getting a lot of results. And that is just know that you are not alone. That is just kind of the nature of how this works. And the only way it won't work is if you stop putting the effort out there and stop doing the asks and stop, just consistently doing your business every day. And so a friend of mine, he's in network marketing also, John Ramza, he was here last summer. Basically what he says, when you start this business, you are not paid what you're worth. You're just not for a while. And then in the middle, you kind of get some traction and you're like, I'm getting paid, what I'm worth. And then stay with it and you're paid more than anyone's worth. And so there's that crazy, like sticking through it and seeing the long term. And so it is so important to stay in something daily for sure, whatever that is. If it's 2 asks a day or 1 ask a day or listening to personal development, something every day to keep you in. But that belief piece, if you haven't seen it for yourself yet, you're going to need to like find it somewhere so you can believe it, so that you can authentically share with people that this can be something. Otherwise it feels fake and it's really hard to reach out. And so it's sort of like you're starting to be like, oh my gosh, this has been amazing for me. It's like, well, you've been in it for 3 weeks and you've made, 10 cents. How does that even make sense? But if you've like, no, I've seen this. I've seen this at meetings. I've heard this on calls. Here, let me send you INR bonds. So keeping your belief tank full is going to make it so much easier for you to stay excited and for you to share what this is, because it is. Guys, look at the Maui photo, like Instagram. Like it's incredible what's happening right now. And we can all be there. We can all be there. All those guys did. They started as a consultant. They started as one person. asking people and hearing no 1,000 times and not knowing what to do, but they stayed in it. They stayed in it. They learned what they needed to learn. And now they're there. And so you guys, we can all do the same thing. And something that we've been doing, like, I think, here and there, like with my central region and then Hannah too, is having set, like, hey guys, let's take a half hour here, or let's get together. Cause I think we are better together for sure. Like, let's get together and take the next hour or the next half hour and just like, let's do a strategy session. Let's like get our lists together and let's reach out. Let's like, it feels so good. I don't know about you guys, but activity feels so much better than thinking about activity. So that's something. So today at 2:00, and I'll post it, to do like a Zoom. So a Zoom for like a half hour, but it's going to be not so much a blitz like it can be. Sorry about that. It's cabinets. Blitz, but then also like okay, here's my list. Okay, this person, kind of like just like a brainstorming, but like total activity session. Like, it's going to be productive. And so from 2:00 till whenever we need to end it or you need to leave, and let's do it. Let's just bang it out. And like, think about that. If you did that every single day, took like a half hour or even 3 10-minute chunks, what that would do from now, like until 31st of January, what that would do for your business. And so 2:00, look for the Zoom. If you're wanting to like, and guys, if you're in a spot of like, this just feels really hard. No, you can feel completely different within the span of a half hour of reaching things. So from here until 2, get your list, write your list out. Who are you asking for what? Who are you following up with about what? Get your client tracker out. Who are you following up with 30-day? And doesn't matter if you haven't reached out to the people you've put in your 30-day yet, start now. It doesn't matter. Like, just, you can start wherever you're at. Just, do it now. So 2:00, let's do it. Let's get in there, because it's going to feel awesome to just like get the momentum train absolutely rolling in your own business. And then what happens collectively with us is so fun when that happens. And most of you have seen that. So 2:00, be there, be square. All right. And then a couple other things. Did you see the new share kit has prep work samples now too? So cool. So guys, it's $49, but it's 32 QV, and it's got 5 prep work and 5 RE9. So that is awesome for people wanting to get started. That's such a key thing to just throw in your bag. GTC is full, but get people on that wait list. If you've not registered yet, get on the wait list. I have no idea what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to open up an overflow. I don't know what's going to happen, but get people on a wait list or get yourself there if you haven't already. And then host coaching. I said this a little bit. This is kind of dual. It's host coaching and then like new consultant coaching. So kind of like the 30-day, when you get people on, they're not really sure what they're doing. They're kind of nervous. They're like, oh, what am I doing? Same with when we ask someone to host an event, either Facebook or in person. Same with when someone starts this business. So it's our job to kind of come alongside and just like hyper communicate, like hyper communication. You can't over communicate with your host, with your new consultant, if it's done correctly. Like, you can maybe over communicate with your new consultant if you're like, okay, did you do this yet? Did you do this yet? But if you're like, this is awesome, here's another INR bond, you're going to do, like, let's go. Like, keeping them engaged. They're leaning on you for belief in that first, however long it takes. So belief doesn't happen when they start. We're like continuing, and there was a call about this too, about like simple steps to getting for duplication, the 5 steps for duplication. It's so good. Maybe it was 4. It was 5. Where basically, even if someone says yes to sign the business, we're still prospecting them until they see success for themselves. And so until someone like either, I think when they have a business builder, that can totally help build belief, because now they're a team. So now they have their, they're like, wow, okay, I'm accountable, like I'm responsible. That is super huge. So helping someone get a business builder on their team right away is super critical. But then even like just activity, signing up some PCs, having an event, just being at an event, going to events, helping them start to see the picture for themselves. Super important. So just because someone says yes to the business doesn't mean that they are like, fully invested. Yeah, that's our job to help them see that, so that they want to be invested in what this is and that they see it for their future. So if that makes sense. I know sometimes with these Zooms, I feel like I'm just like talking into space, and nod your heads if you like, if we all agree. Okay. I just have seen, I feel like I've seen that more recently than not. And so just a reminder of that. Cause I think sometimes for me too, you get a little freaked out. You're like, okay, they said yes, but if I reach out again, I'm afraid that like they're going to say something I don't want to hear. So therefore I'm not going to say anything. And then like it manifests itself, guys. So do it. This is our business. We're responsible for it. So we're not responsible for what they do, but we're responsible in how we coach and how we onboard and how we reach out and how we welcome. Jess has something.
So I have a new consultant that basically said she wants to be a consultant shopper, but she sees the vision of having a business one day. She sees friends from high school who are MVPs in Maui. And so she's like excited, but like she doesn't think she can do it right now. Have you experienced that? What do you do? Trickling.
Yeah. And I would ask more questions. I think ask, questions of like, what do you see in this? Like what would be, what could you see this doing for you? So they see it for themselves. I think so. We ask the question and then stop talking sometimes, where we just, and then once they start to, if they hear themselves say it out loud, like, well, wow, I mean, I would go on vacation, or wow, I could pay down debt. Or and then they start talking and they start thinking it for themselves, then you can remind them of that because they said it. Like, hey, remember when you got really excited about this being something that you could like have more flexible income, that you could pay off student loans, that you could pay down credit card debt. Remember, like that can still happen, like that's what's happening. And it's just, I can show you how to do that. And so does that make sense? Does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. I think the more that we can just ask some questions, honestly, just do more, like, right. We have one mouth and two ears, like for a reason. So the more that we can ask questions and just stop and listen and then remember what they said and bring it back around can be way more powerful than us trying to say like, imagine if you could. And it's like, well, I don't really care about that, but we just are nervous. So we could keep talking. So guilty as charged. Is that right? Okay. So that's what I've got, gang, today. And we'll wrap it up. We're 30 minutes deep. So I want to do that. But 2:00, you guys, like January 12th, let's just roll this train, blast it off the last, 3 weeks, whatever. We've got a million days left in January. It's totally cool. And go for it. Get your list out, dust it off. Once you start writing things down, your brain opens up to other things that you were like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Scroll back through your phone. Who have you not followed up with? Who have you been meaning to follow up with? Who are you scared to follow up with? Who are you scared to ask? Because you know what? If we're all doing it together, it gets a whole lot less scary if you're doing it with somebody else who you can like, bounce it off with. So 2:00, do it. I have it. I have the Asking Good Questions. The Jody Whittemore. Yeah, I'll post it. What is it? I've decided to ask better questions. It's a really good one. I'll post that. All right. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. This is so awesome to see everybody here on Saturday morning, kicking it off. I'm so excited. And I cannot wait to see so many of you next weekend. Give you all big hugs. You're amazing. I love you guys. Let's do this. Go team. Mwah.